it away, Zallard.
Alrighty. Alrighty, guys. Zallard is not going to be mic'd up for this because he actually needs to have the audio cues from both games, which is tricky in a headphone setup. So you all know Zallard won. He's done amazing punch-out things at GDQ. He's going to do another one right now for you. My name's Clage.
I'm Sinister1.
And I'm Hootie.
All right, we're going to be talking you through this run. Zallard is going to be playing both Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out at the same time using one controller. He's basically using a controller splitter built from scratch by our good friend here, Omni Gamer. Omni actually had to leave the event this week due to some family emergencies, so we're thinking of you, brother, but thank you for making this possible. It's going to be really entertaining. So give it up for Omni, please. All right, without further ado, Zallard, take us off.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so first and foremost, the most important thing to understand about this run of 2 games at once is that the biggest important button is actually going to be the start button. In Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the start button, of course, throws the iconic star punches. In Super Punch-Out, it does multiple things. It actually pauses the rounds. Those pauses are going to allow Zallard to basically put this puzzle together of a run and be able to use more realistic real-time strats like he would do in an actual full attempt, rather than trying to chaotically work both games at once.
And Zallard executing the first of what we will see several buffer strats there on Glass Joe. The timing kind of works out nicely between Gabby J and Glass Joe. You almost fight them separately a little bit. Now he gets to take on Bear Hugger.
Yep. Yeah, so you heard Sinister talk about buffer strats. Buffer strats are used in a lot of games, but they are of great importance in Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out. Basically, you're allowed to put inputs to make them overlap one another. This can be out of pauses or out of knockdowns. For example, if you hold the start button or the super punch button in either game, you'll actually throw your punch on the first frame that you can take action. So there's all sorts of ways Zallard can buffer his inputs to basically eliminate timing inaccuracies and eliminate any sort of having to do guesswork with visual cues.
Now, some of the counts in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out are fixed. Like that one count that Von Kaiser got up on is guaranteed, but sometimes you'll get a 2 or a 4 or 5, 6, 8. Yep. All kinds of things can happen, and that can kind of impact the way that he has to adjust in the other game.
Yeah, correct. In normal timing strategy for Punch-Out games, in-game time is the only thing that matters. Real time is completely irrelevant. But in this run, since it's actually being timed via real time, there's actually an added RNG element for the counts that happen, especially in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So to give you some mechanics, Super Punch-Out specifically, and that's $1 million, ladies and gentlemen.
Fantastic work, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Let's keep it going. All right. To get back, so mechanics, Super Punch-Out specifically, fast fights are done with a very similar strategy for almost every fighter. Super Punch-Out has a hidden dizzy meter, where if you hit an opponent enough times, you raise a dizzy value that's not displayed anywhere on screen. If you put them into a dizzy status, a well-timed super punch or sometimes a regular jab will actually guarantee you a knockdown. So a lot of what you're going to see is Zallard putting whoever he's fighting in Super Punch-Out into a dizzy status, then knocking them down. So right now is a really important input aspect that Zallard's utilizing. You'll see how when he throws a star punch, he's actually pausing Super Punch-Out at the same time. He does that by basically double tapping start, because that'll throw a star punch and then give no other input afterwards in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But it pauses the game in Super Punch-Out and allows him to get his bearings and kind of figure out where he is.
So Zallard should be able to finish up Bull here because he's going to get a nice cutscene in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Correct.
And let's just note the fact that these fights that are occurring right now did not go to plan at all. He is entirely, doing this on the fly in some ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of improv that has to be done. This isn't like a standard single segment run or even the blindfolded run that you saw Zallard and Sinister do a couple years ago. There's a lot of times where Zallard's not going to get favorable RNG. He's not going to get what he wants, and he has to make up strats on the fly. And the fact that he can even complete this run shows you how much knowledge he has of both games. You need to know everything about every fight to be able to do this.
Yeah, those patterns from Bull he probably hasn't seen in quite a long time.
Right.
So nice improv there.
There you see a buffer strat there to get the guaranteed counterattack on Bold Bull.
And now we're going to see a buffer strat that Zallard himself invented in order to get a frame-perfect star on Don Flamenco and knock him down in 10 seconds.
Yep.
It'll only take one more knockdown for Don to be finished off. So he gets up on a 5. That's good. We don't want an 8 count there. And that's going to be the end of Don.
Yep. Very nice. So what you're going to notice is that the idea is that Zallard is going to avoid playing both games actively at the same time as much as possible. Again, when I first watched him start routing this, he actually did a lot where he would be fighting both people at the same time and just kind of hedging bets on inputs to kind of balance it out. But that meant he couldn't use a lot of the really powerful single segment and RTA style strategies that he and Sinister and all the other Punch-Out runners have developed over the years. So it kind of became more of a puzzle to figure out how can I keep one screen active, keep the other that doesn't need my attention so I can give the best strats possible and make this go as fast as possible.
And even though these are both Punch-Out games, they're like so different. So it's got to be really difficult for you to kind of switch from one to the other so rapidly. And Zallard's doing a great job of it so far.
Absolutely. There's also the added impact that he's playing with one controller. It's a Super Nintendo controller because that's the only way we could create the splitter style thing that would work. But that means Zallard's playing a game he's put hundreds and hundreds of hours in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with a different controller. And believe it or not, that is a massive change to get used to. So, got through the Bob Charlie fight. Bob is the first really, really random and annoying enemy in Super Punch-Out. He has the ability to dodge and really take a long time. That was an excellent Bob Charlie fight.
And now we're coming up on Dragon Chan, and we're going to be looking for some punches right here to the gut in order to get the dizzy off. And then we come up to another random segment here. Just as Grey Tiger comes up.
So Grey Tiger actually doesn't have any randomness at all. Zallard's going to be forcing him to do these punches that he can counter late and get stars. And then he can go ahead and get nice little dual action there.
Yep, very nice.
So as Grey Tiger goes down, he's going to get up on 1 twice. All Zallard has to do is hold start to take him out.
Yep.
So he'll be able to finish off Dragon Chan and Grey Tiger just around the same time.
So yeah, there you saw he held start to get the buffer strat to knock down Tiger, and then immediately retapped it so he could unpause Super Punch-Out, get a knockdown on Dragon Chan, go back to Great Tiger, knock him down, and now we're going to have 2 knockouts.
This is just fantastic juggling of both of these games right now.
So up next in Super Punch-Out is going to be Mass Muscle. He's a very important enemy because he's the first enemy in the game that can't be guaranteed manipulated through what we like to call guard manipulation. Both Punch-Out games tend to read your input on which way you're either holding up on the controller to throw jabs, or if you're not holding up on the controller and throwing gut punches. In Super Punch-Out especially, this is useful because the vast majority of fighters, you can manipulate where their guard is going to go. So ideally, if you want to throw jabs, you'll wait a split second, keep your guard down, and then make them lower their gloves, or vice versa if you want to hit them in the face with jabs. Mass Muscle can actually just ignore this mechanic and decide to guard you no matter what.
It would have been nice to get an 8 count from Bull there, but Zallard got a 5 count, so he has to deal with him a little bit earlier.
There you see one of those buffer strats used on Muscle to get the guaranteed knockdown after the dizzy animation.
And even with the bad RNG to start with Mass Muscle blocking those first jabs, he still managed to get the knockdown there.
Correct.
So.
And Zallard forcing some stars there with those delayed punches. They're very precise to time, though, especially on Bald Bull. Very difficult.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out are excellent examples of games that are very good about consistently ramping up their difficulty. The fights do get progressively harder almost throughout the entire game on both titles. So if you think the juggling has been complicated now, just wait till we get some of the more difficult enemies near the end.
And while we're waiting for the World Circuit to come up for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, we're going into Sandman here. You're going to see the 2 versions of Sandman in this in this run, and this is the one that's definitely a little more forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, this version of Sandman and Super Punch-Out is actually not random in any way. As long as Zallard executes his strats, this is going to be the same fight every single time. It is of note that Sandman is one of the very few enemies you cannot score a knockout in Super Punch-Out. There are not many layered throughout the game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So Sandman's going to get up one more time.
Fight.
He waits right there to throw that super, just a tiny little delay.
You see throwing the start
And
button there
there he
to
goes.
advance Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now Sandman's knocked down. You'll have the cutscene in between circuits, and he can go to work on Piston 2.
Now, Piston Honda, too, there's a couple different ways to fight him. Zallard is going to elect to use a buffer strat here because what it's going to do is it's going to knock him down at 1 minute, and Piston Honda is just going to take a 10 count. He's not going to get back up.
Yep.
And this is a guaranteed fight. The other way of fighting Piston Honda is ridiculously difficult, and there's really no reason to do it in this kind of setting.
Yeah, as you can imagine, Zallard tries his best to strike a balance between the fastest possible strats and strats that are consistent, because consistency in a run like this where things are not going to stay on the rails is of extreme value.
And interestingly enough, even though that strat against Piston Honda 2 is slower in game time, it's actually faster in real time.
Yep. There you see another buffer on Aaron Ryan. That's actually a newer buffer. There's going to be a newer buffer you might see if he goes into his grab animation. This used to be something that Zallard actually had to kind of time. And now he does a new buffer strat. You see he does a medium duck, 2 short ducks, comes up, just holds the super punch button, and Aaron Ryan goes down. So that's actually a recently added strat to the Aaron Ryan fight. And now we have the epitome of random in MTPO, Soda himself.
Yeah, Zallard's going to be looking for Soda to throw as few hooks as possible. You only start this fight with 6 hearts, and when you run out of hearts, essentially you run out of stamina. Mac will not be able to throw any punches during that time. So far, Zallard getting a good pattern.
You see.
He'll be able to finish off Soda.
Yep.
AK Kagero can wait.
Yep.
Soda needs to go down.
Yep.
And that's a good time for Soda.
Yeah. This is a luxury you'll get to see. Super Punch-Out has some amazing sprite animations for stunned and various other statuses of the boxers, and you get to see those in these runs because, again, Zallard has to pause a lot to get things lined up for how he wants to use them.
And a great backup there for the first phase of Hika Kagero.
Yep. Henke not cooperating there at the end, but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer because we're on to Bull 2, which is a difficult fight.
Now, thankfully, Bull 2 doesn't have very much randomness. This is more just kind of rack up the stars and throw them. You can't take Bull 2 down unless you hit him with a star punch. So there's your first knockdown. He's always going to get up on a 9 count as well, so that kind of... That's kind of a nice known variable that can allow Zallard to strategize how he wants to proceed.
And again, you're noticing every time Zallard throws a star punch, he's double tapping if he wants to repause SPO, because right now his focus is on Bull, not Heike. Now we'll go over and take care of Heike for the final knockdown. Heike not cooperating with Mirage Dance. When he goes into that, sometimes you can jab him out of it, but it is random. There's no real timing for it.
And final few star punches on Bull, and he'll be finished. They might be both finished at the same time.
There we go.
Simultaneous.
Very nice.
How about that? Not going to see that too often.
No. And again, it can't be overstated how much Zallard has to keep track of right now. Keeping track of what you're doing in one of these games where a lot of things are very precise. You have to remember where you are. You have to remember what your improv or your backup strats are because, again, in a marathon setting, you're not going to get everything you want out of these patterns, and occasionally you're going to make execution errors. So for Zallard to be able to juggle these and keep up where he is in both games is honestly ridiculous.
Zallard's going to wait on Don 2 because Don 2 is a very, very random fight.
Absolutely.
And it's a little tricky as well. There's a couple different approaches you can take, so let's see what Zallard wants to do.
Yeah, this portion of the run would actually get my vote for by far 2 of the most annoying enemies if you want to combine them into a set. Mad Clown can't be knocked out. He has to get a TKO to finish him. And Don 2 is infamous for destroying single segment runs.
Ooh, Zallard getting a lucky star. That'll speed the fight up a little bit. Not especially. Oh, another one.
Yeah, what are the odds on the lucky stars from Don in phase 1?
I believe it's 1 in 16
Nice.
likelihood. So Zallard can actually get a pretty fast fight here against Don 2.
Yeah. Again, putting focus on Don.
Now you need to have a star to get a random star, so he's not going to get any more for the rest of this fight, but he still should be able to get him down in under 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's a Clown on his second knockdown.
And thankfully, the third phase of Mad Clown can be sort of buffered right here. We're just going to put him
Very
down.
nice.
And Don 2's punches are actually surprisingly fast. That's why you saw Zallard get hit there. He was trying to finish off Mad Clown. And then the rest of the way here, he can just use this left, left, right, left, left, right.
Very nice.
Not quite a full infinite, but it's enough to get the job done.
Macho Man.
Yeah. Macho Man is notoriously a run-ender in super segment or single segment runs for super punch out. He can be knocked out. The window for it is incredibly tight and requires cooperation on his part with RNG. So Zallard's actually going to be using a more consistent strat, just going for the fast TKO again, because the extra second or so he saves on the in-game timer is not that relevant for the amount of speed he's trying to put into this run.
Great start to Macho. Zallard is going to do some... These pauses are just too good.
Yeah.
They're good.
So with Sandman, Zallard's actually not going to use the select trick. There's no reason to take a knockdown when you're playing in this style. If you want to just go for real time, and it's actually faster to do this in real time. He's just going to kind of get through this first 50 seconds here, and then he's going to start forcing punches from him, and you can see he's kind of doing that right side dodge. That actually buffers a delayed punch, which deals more damage and gets Sandman down a lot quicker, allowing you to finish him off in round 1, which is otherwise tough to do.
Yeah. So Macho's going to get up one more time again because Zallard didn't go for the knockout strategy. So we're going to block the exercise program, and then this fun's over.
And that was actually very useful that we got an 8 count on Sandman. That allowed him to finish off Macho without having to worry.
Yep.
And now he can just kind of do these buffer punches again. And he's going to get the triple uppercuts from Sandman here, and he does some really nice quick dodging. That's very, very precise. That allows you to get in just enough damage to get this second knockdown. And the rest of the way, he can just buffer his way to victory now.
Yeah.
For Sandman, that is.
Another important aspect that Zallard has to juggle is that you can probably tell by now just by watching, but the general speed of dodges and punches in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is much, much, much faster than SPO. So adjusting your timing, if Zallard were just doing, runs of these games, half the day doing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and then half the day doing SPO, there would be a major adjustment period. These two games have a very different feel in terms of speed. So to do it on the fly consistently between the two is, again, really ridiculous. And Narcissus. Narcissus is maybe the worst enemy in Super Punch-Out. He is the most random. He has the ability to do sways and dodges and just ignore anything you're doing to get a quick knockdown. That's some really favorable luck right there. Narcissus basically requires you to hit him in his, quote, his pretty face, if you want to put him into his rage mode and actually do any damage to him.
Now, luckily, Super Macho Man has kind of a long startup here.
Yep.
Zallard's going to elect to keep it paused, though, on
Okay.
Narcissus. He
No.
didn't want to get that next knockdown. He's going to wait.
And honestly, anyone who's run SPO, this is a pretty satisfying screen to sit on right now.
Absolutely.
So Zallard knows he's going to get a guaranteed star from this 4th punch here. Things are going to get a little bit more random after that. He didn't get a lucky star there, unfortunately, so he's going to be doing a backup strat. But he can use buffers to get those extra stars there. And Macho is just such a satisfying fight because he gets so many stars and you just kind of get to wail on him the entire fight.
Right.
It's really fun.
Now, there is a possibility that Narcissus will stay down on this knockdown. I'm not sure if Zallard got the window or not, but we'll find out.
He should have,
Yeah.
with the first phase having been
A rare connect
Zallard
from Macho.
going for a very, very tricky strat there. It's called the spin sucker. You have to kind of just understand when Super Macho Man's going to stop spinning, and that can be tricky to do because you're looking at a visual cue or an audio cue, and in this situation it's tough because you're split between two games.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice. The knockdown on Narcus is incredibly difficult, so that's awesome.
So Zallard went ahead and got a 9 count there so he could get a full health refill. That means a smaller refill for Macho, and he should be able to knock him down. Right here,
Awesome.
Macho is down.
Yep. So we're going to move on to Hoy, who's another very, very random enemy in SPO. Hoy has a mechanic where occasionally he will do a shove with his staff and push Mac off to the side. When he does that, the animation is so long that it allows his dizzy meter to basically completely drain, and you have to start from scratch in terms of getting him to a dizzy animation. So this is an excellent start to the Hoy fight.
6, 7, fight!
That random dodge, that's really unfortunate luck. So now he's not going to get a knockout on Hoy. But
Yeah, Zallard's going to really need to just focus on Tyson. This
Yep.
fight is very, very difficult, even for an expert. You have to get frame-perfect punches in order to beat him in round 1.
Yep. There's a classic 8-second delay from Tyson, which is the worst thing you can see in phase of this fight.
Yeah, you do not want to see that. Luckily, Tyson gets a lot easier in round 2. Hopefully we don't have to go there. Okay, Zallard has a very, very small chance of being able to still get Tyson in round 1. He's going to have to really hit a ton of frame-perfect punches in order to do it.
And you see Hoy's going to get back up, unfortunately. Had Hoy not done the 2 random split dodges to start the phase 2 of that fight, Zallard actually would have gotten a knockout. To get knockouts on most of the characters in Super Punch-Out, when you get your first knockdown, you have to basically knock them down again within a very short window on the in-game timer.
Okay, Zallard got an absurdly good phase 2 on Tyson,
he
so
did.
let's give him some serious time here, guys, because he can actually still beat him in round 1. Incredible.
Time on MTPO.
A masterful job on the phase 2 and 3 of Tyson there.
I need to explain something real quick. Zallard had the last possible second that you can still get a first rounder on Tyson. He had a 119 phase 1. Any later than that, and it would have been impossible. And then he hit he hit all the frame perfect punches in phase 2.
So, as you can imagine, now Zallard just gets to play 1 game, which at this point feels like cheating. So, Rick this is actually a really good run so far. Ideally, you want to see Zallard be on about Rick Bruiser by the time Tyson goes down. So, he's actually on very, very good pace.
Now, Rick being the lesser of the 2 RNG heavy fighters, we're going to be hopefully sailing past him.
Yep,
Beautiful.
very
That is
nice.
a 5/8 chance
Yes.
to get that uppercut in phase 3.
That is a fantastic Rick fight. All right. So we're coming up on the final fight of SPO and the final fight of the dual punch-out run. Zallard has a habit of hitting a frame-perfect counter in this fight, and we'd like to see it again. No pressure.
Only when he's blindfolded.
Fight!
So to basically explain how difficult that counter is, I actually looked it up and ran one of Zallard's runs frame by frame to figure out how many frames he has to react to those punches. Nick can throw 1 of 4 punches, either a left or right jab or a left or right hook. To get the counter, from what I can tell, Zallard has about 11 frames to react and do that. Average human reaction time to any normal stimuli, a yes/no stimuli, is somewhere around 15 to 17 frames. So you're asking 4 different guess stimuli to be done in 11, and Zallard hits it all the time, which basically proves Zallard is in fact a robot.
He's not human.
So now he's having to go to backup strats on Nick, but that's all right. We get to beat on him a little bit longer. It's good entertainment.
And a
little bit
somewhat
catharsis.
satisfying backup Dizzy.
Absolutely. So Nick's going to get up one more time, and we're going to finish off the dual punch-out run. One more dodge just to be obnoxious, because that's what Nick does. And there we go.
There it is.
Give it up for Zallard. 1. 2 games at once.
Hell of a job, dude. Zallard. Yeah. Ah, boy.
First off, I have to thank everyone who donated for this run. The generosity is just through the roof. I can't believe it. Thank you, everyone who was here to watch. Yeah, I'm glad I'm done with that.
Could you comment real quickly? How in the world did you pull off that round 1 Tyson?
I don't know. Don't know. So 119 on phase 1 for Tyson, that's basically Doom. You don't round 1 off of that ever. You have to hit multiple frame perfect hits, like a really hard variation of them, many times in a row. Like, I should not have round 1 him at all.
On a Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, don't worry about that.
Incredible, man.
Come on, give it up.
And with that, guys, amazing job, Zallard 1, for your 2 games, 1 controller. But we have a special message from Mike Uyama. Take it away, Mike.
I have a special.
Good night.
I have. Oh, I have a special announcement. Go. Oh, sorry, we're only halfway there. But thank you, everyone, for your generosity. But sorry, your donation goal is in another speed run. But do you want to know something? In the vein of the legendary Enviro Bear run, let's beat the goal! 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 And thank you, everyone, for your generous donations.